All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Shama. I am the program director here at Girls and Geese. I am super stoked to have on one of my favorite black belts, Chelsah Lyons. She's going to be talking a little bit about her story. We're going to dive in a little bit and talk about, like, get in her head a little bit. I love talking to this woman because I love how she thinks, and she has such an interesting background. So, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for
Please,
having me.
anything else that you would like? I know you're an academy owner, you're a very accomplished competitor. You were like Texas's it girl, like out there representing us for a long time. And now
Thank
you're
you.
a gym owner. Anything else you'd like to add? I would love so people get a little bit more about who you are.
Man, so I think my whole life now just kind of revolves around jujitsu. Um, so I would say, let's see, I've been training 15 years. I've been, this year actually, I've been competing for 13 or 14 years. Um, my most recent accomplishment was NoGi Worlds in December. And then I also feel like an even another accomplishment was getting together with all of you girls at the Texas Women's Conference through Grappling Getaways. That was amazing.
That was
I haven't
awesome.
experienced anything like that. So to be a part of it was just such a gift. Other than that, I mean, my life revolves around the gym now. So other than nature, so that you can kind of like plug back in and breathe, I'm just submerged in our gym at this point and helping to bring up, the next generation of competitors. And I say generation not as in age, but as in like belt levels.
Hmm.
And then just providing like an outlet for people to come and train, or providing a space where people can go as far as they want to, and become the world's next Jiu Jitsu World Champion. So, yeah,
Very
I'm here to
cool.
talk about whatever you want to talk about. I like to freestyle. I like to go with what you always have, like the best topics, the best conversation. Our energy just explodes when we are together. So I just came in ready for whatever Shama wants.
Absolutely. Well, I had such a great time doing the workshop with you, talking about women's empowerment, talking about
Yeah.
women's jujitsu, and I think that we were such a great pairing. I mean,
Yes.
that was one of the best things. Like I told April, I said the best things about that conference. I mean, there were so many awesome things, but she really thought hard. Her and Katie really thought hard about who they
Yes.
wanted to bring together, and it was
Yeah.
all the people that I mean, everybody clicked, whether it was
Yeah.
the first time meeting or whether you've known each other for years. Like they connected a lot of people, and I told him, I said, if I was going to put this together, yeah, you guys nailed it. Like, this is the
Yeah.
crew. And it's cool because, like, it was from Texas and Oklahoma and the East Coast and California. It was everybody from
Yeah.
everywhere came together. And
Yeah. It was amazing.
it was super awesome.
The
And
energy.
100%.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly why I wanted to have you on today because I was like, these people got to share just a taste of you and me chatting and getting to know how we think and how we look at the world because I think it's pretty awesome and a lot of people can benefit from our perspectives because you and I have been through some stuff. So
Absolutely.
tell me a little bit. And I think that's like that's what breeds us into who we are, builds us into who we are is all of those hardships. So tell me a little
Yeah.
bit, how did you get into jujitsu? And give me a window. Like, what was your experience as a woman in jujitsu coming up during the rank? I know
Um,
that's a big one.
like, okay. In the year of,
Let's
so
go back in time.
yes. And it's so funny because I still will like talk to my students about these moments. And I'm like, have I already told them about these moments? But it seems new every time. And it's so funny because, and I'm fast forward, right? Like we've built such a culture in my gym where sometimes the class is like the women outnumber the men, and it's not a women's class. That's just who happens to show up. And I'll
That's
share with them
awesome.
these things I've been through, and they're like, "Yeah, I can't relate." I'm like, well, that that's amazing, and may you never be able to relate to that because we have, open windows and doors so that you never have to experience that. So there's both dark and light and all good things. One cannot exist without the other.
100%.
So two things brought me to jujitsu. One, I saw like the first women's MMA fight, Gina Carano. I was like, oh, okay, she's doing it. That's the one. Let's go. Thought I was going to be a full like Muay Thai fighter. So I wanted to fight and wanted to join MMA for a long time. Unfortunately, what really motivated me was being held at gunpoint, which I've told this story with some people, but you know, others have not heard it. And it's weird how things will either completely tear you down, or you can use that to like really become something better, and really reach the next level or evolve into
Absolutely.
the next level of who you're going to be. So that motivated me, like, okay, maybe outside of just learning how to fight because it looks fun, maybe I should go get some technique, you know, so I can protect myself if they want something besides like my purse. Like you could have that. I think it was an airwalk bag. Like who does that? Anyways.
It's ridiculous.
Like I like to anybody who's asked me about this, I'm like if he would have looked in there before he put that gun to my head, he probably would have given me some money because I was like early 20s and like just trying to make it through life.
Like, I
Which
don't
I
got
can laugh about
anything.
now, you know. But at the time I was like so I don't even think I was scared. I think I was just mad. And you know, excuse me, you know, a mad woman can go very far. So um so I used that to kind of propel me into really seeking out a gym. And it's funny because I didn't find one. And a place where I was working had a bunch of dusty flyers where people would just come in for a local business and leave their flyers. And
Mhm.
somebody had left a stack of MMA flyers, like, come join our gym. And I don't even know how long it had been there because when I picked it up, I had like it was bad. I walked in, I walked into a gym. I was like, hey, I want to train. I want to fight. They're like, of course, sign right here. You're now contracted with us for a year. And I just started training and I was very excited. You know, this is so new. I grew up kind of tomboyish. I know, no big surprise. You know, only granddaughter, only niece, only female around all these guys I grew up with, right? And so, like, just being able to be aggressive in a place where it was invited and you're not kind of like shunned and told to be like, you need to be more ladylike or you need to be quiet.
Mhm.
You need to
Mhm.
calm down, which they definitely told me to calm down at times. But it really, like, I mean, I just felt like this wide-eyed, like, what is this? Like, this exists, and can I just be a part of it? And they're like, we already signed. Okay. Yeah, you know, you're just always wanting to be more. And
Yeah.
now, unfortunately, but fortunately, within a month of training there, the owner of the gym actually like tried to sexually assault me.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
and he didn't get very far because I am an aggressive and loud girl. Okay. But in that moment where you think you're a strong person, and you're surprised, you know, I grew up like we fought at school, we fought in front of someone's yard, you know, like we grew up in you know, the hood. And I love that. I would never change that. I've become who I am because of where I come from, and I love that. But I know I don't have to always live in strife, you know.
It's
But it's
funny,
like,
Bella
say
at
it
the
again.
at the conference, Bella, the girl that I brought with me,
Yes.
she was like, Chelsea would be hood Barbie if she was
Oh,
a
yeah.
Barbie.
You know what? I
And she
would
loved it.
represent that proudly, you know, because, you know, it takes all kinds, right?
100%.
Um, so within a month there, I was preparing for a fight. I was going to have my first cage fight. I was like, let's go. They found another girl who knows where in the land of martial arts to compete against. So the owner was helping me like to prepare for helping, right? To prepare for the fight. Um, Luckily we weren't like by ourselves completely away from society. We were in a room that's connected to it. So once that was my realization when I was being pinned down by somebody who's actually known how to fight. who wasn't just doing street fights and who wasn't like, seeing red. I had never been in a position where I could not move. And
No, yeah,
yeah, it was crazy to me
that's
because I'm like
crazy.
a weirdly strong girl. So I
Yeah.
was like, but this guy's twice my size. He's an AMI fighter. He owns a gym. I'm going through all these things in my head, like, okay, I came here to learn how to fight, to protect myself
Mhm.
from people
And
like
then
this.
here you are in a situation
And
having to
here I
defend
am.
yourself against the owner.
And I'm a
Yeah,
white belt. I'm a white belt.
that's
This
ridiculous.
person's a
Yeah.
black belt. All these things go through your head at once. Like, what? Why is this happening? Like, their son is in the room. Like, this is crazy to me. So, yeah,
Wow.
girl, it was
That's sick.
who, why, what, where, and what, you know?
Yeah.
So I used my voice, like, because I couldn't move. And I let him know, and I won't use the explicits, but he needed to get the up off of me. And I yelled it loud. And when I
Hmm.
did, this has always worked with women. He's like, you need to calm down. And I was like,
Yeah,
now
that
we're
goes
gonna fight.
over well.
Now I'm mad. Okay. So I think people had heard in the room next to us because someone peeked in and was like, everything good? And he was like, it's good. I grabbed my stuff and I left. And
Yeah.
it really like ate at me because I'm not a girl to avoid confrontation, especially at that point in life. I was still
Yeah.
like living on fury and aggression and trauma, like to fuel my life, which would carry
Hmm.
me all the way through Blue Belt. And um, I just left. I didn't say anything to anybody. And um, the jujitsu coach called me, like, because I hadn't been there in a while. And it's so funny. He Now I realize as a gym owner, he was like, "Where are all our students at? We got to check
Oh,
in with them, make sure they're okay. They're not
yeah,
showing up." And
yeah.
now I understand that, and I'm like, "Oh, I don't know if he actually cared, or if he was just checking on his business, right?"
Yeah.
And it's weird because I just held all this in because I really didn't feel like there was anybody around me who could like help me get through it, understand. I was like, I guess this just isn't where I'm gonna find my next level.
Hmm.
And the jiu-jitsu coach called, I answered, and he's like, "Say what's up, little homie. Like, you ain't been in my class. It's real quiet because you're not there." And I'm like, rude, first of all, because I was a loud girl at that point. And he's like, we've missed you. Why haven't you been to class? And I just let it all out. I don't know why.
Oh.
Maybe I felt like I'd been holding it too long. Who knows why? The universe guides
Hmm.
us through all things.
Absolutely.
And when I told him what happened, he's like, "Oh, you need jujitsu more than anything now." And I was like, "Okay, continue. I'm listening." And he just kind of let me know like that guy wasn't at the gym anymore. He like turns out he had to have a second job because when you own a gym, it doesn't always make you rich,
Yeah.
just in life. So I went back to class. Oh man, this story. I went back to class. I started training. I worked on, I let him know how I was being held. And it's so crazy because that's like a position that I think even women who don't want to do martial arts or don't train, like that's a position someone would try to hold them in that doesn't even
Hmm.
know how to fight.
Hmm.
So we worked through that position. I was like, oh, I started gaining some confidence. I really like this. And then, I mean, to say the least, but the most, those, he showed back up to the gym one day and I was like, I'm leaving. Like, I can't. I don't know why I'm here. Like,
Yeah.
it all came flooding
Yeah.
back in because really I just wanted to like maul that dude, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah. Oh,
again, I
yeah.
don't get sad. I get real mad about these
Oh,
things.
yeah.
And
You and I
that
are the same.
retrospect, yes, you're like, I
Yeah, I'm like,
should have,
I'm gonna.
yeah, like, where's my knife? But, don't record. Um,
We'll edit this. No, I'm just
She has
kidding.
popped out. I will cut you. But these days, that's illegal. Please, nobody
But
cut me.
not,
But
but not.
yeah, unless, self-defense is real. So before I could though, my jiu-jitsu coach was like, just stick around. This is gonna be good. And I was like, okay. And I guess that guy was preparing for a fight. So he came back. Well, we had an octagon there. And they went in the octagon and they started practicing, or they started like going through their round. And all of a sudden, that dude who had assaulted me, his shoulder got ripped out of his entire body.
Whoa.
And I was like, oh, this is it. Like, I was
Oh.
just like, oh man, I'm really glad I stuck around. Jiu-jitsu, I love you for life. And take that as you will, ladies. Like, feel how you want to feel about it. But, I mean, I just feel like all things are settled in different ways, and sometimes the universe will settle it for you.
Yeah,
So
karma will come back,
karma,
you
you know, can I say this? If you have to bleep it out, karma's only a bitch if you are. Okay. So please
know.
fast forward through that. But that's how I truly feel. Like you create situations, and that was probably one of the first times in my entire life where I really felt like, vindicated for something that had happened to
Mhm.
me. And again, it didn't go as far as some of the attacks that I know have happened to people very close to me, people that I meet
Mhm.
at the gym, but it was like not supposed to happen in that environment of all things, which I know a lot of
Yeah.
girls have come to me who train at gyms and they have that story, and it's like it sucks, man, because we're coming there to learn. So
Yeah.
I left that gym. I followed my jujitsu coach because, I mean, everybody started kind of catching on like this dude's trash, like we can't stay here.
Mhm.
Followed my coach to a gym, was there for about a year, and then I moved back to Dallas, where I'm from. And it's
Mhm.
so funny because the apartment I moved into right across the street was a jujitsu gym. And you know
Oh,
me, it
nice.
was Marcelo Garcia Dallas, which was like about to shift my entire life, not just my jujitsu life, but everything I had known up till this point in life was about to be uprooted, replanted, and a whole garden of just amazingness was about to bloom. And if I hadn't gone through, what I had gone through, who knows? Who knows if I would have continued, what would have happened? I mean, your life can go 20 million ways, and every decision
Mhm.
changes it. And you can change it at any time. But I wasn't aware of that as much as the universe was like, I got you. We're going to get you here. It's going to be amazing. And I walked into Rob's gym, and the guy behind the desk saw me and he goes, "Hey, did you used to have short blonde hair?" And I was like, "Well, it depends. What did she do?" Okay. Because maybe. And he goes, "I think you fought one of our guys." And I was like, "Oh," because, my first two competitions were all men because there were no females.
Oh, wow.
So
Yep,
fun
yep,
time.
yep.
I'm telling you, I did not care. Like where I came from, it was whatever. Okay.
Like
And so he goes, "Yeah, I think you fought one of our guys." And I was like, "Oh, do I need to leave?" He's like, "No, nobody liked me." Okay, okay, well then, can I try a class? And it just took off from there. Like I was the only girl for a long time. And, my coach believed in me to start a women's program, which I was like, I have no idea what I'm out here doing. There's not even a women. What am I going to do? And you showed up in my life there, bright,
Oh,
bright, shiny light. I didn't even know that I could teach a seminar. I had reached
oh.
brown belt, and you reached out to me. Who else? Christy also
Mhm.
reached out to me. Katie was a part of
Mhm.
it because she and I were coming up in the same belts. And you were like, "Do you want to teach a seminar?" And I was like, like, "Yeah, like you're doing it. Like you're on Fight to Win. Like you got this." And, Fight to Win had just started blowing up. It was like
Yeah,
our
yeah.
first outlet of like super fights, which after being DQ'd at a world level for doing things like a knee bar at purple belt, which is not allowed till brown, or like trying to heel hook somebody. Like,
Oops.
and y'all are welcome because now heel hooks are legal for brown and black belts. So you're welcome. We
You're
went through
welcome.
the trenches so you could walk. So but that super fight allowed, like, we had a few rules, but you could do jujitsu no matter what it
Yeah,
was. So I
yeah.
was like, this is my stuff right here. So yeah, you came in, 60 women showed up that day. I said, I didn't even know 60 women did martial arts around here because we were all dispersed. Like
Yeah.
each of us was like one, maybe two to a gym. We would like, I had Jessica Jasper, Katie Stride. Like we would come together at the gym and we would be like, "You want to train today?" And we just spend 3 hours at each other's gym just getting it in because we knew we wouldn't see each other for months after. And it was just a beautiful thing. So it kind of went through that dark to this light that has just, oh, the essence has just taken over my entire life. And even on days where I'm exhausted and burnt out, I'm just so thankful and grateful and just in love with this life. And now myself and my boyfriend, we own our own gym, which is nuts to me. We just hit our 5 year. What?
Wow,
We just
congratulations.
added 1,000 feet of like
Wow.
more space, like dude, what? Crazy times. But we opened January 2020.
Oh wow. Yeah, you went
Bruh.
full.
I mean, and we survived, and not just survived. I feel like we thrived after. So crazy stuff, and salute to you because you're opening windows for women that becomes just
Aw.
French doors, that just allow
It
people to
becomes
just
whatever you
come.
want it to be, you
It
know.
does. And when there's like so many gathered together, like, just I can't even imagine. I mean, I can, but it's like I know even my imagination of what it's going to become in the next 10 years, it's
Oh my
beyond.
gosh.
We have women
Oh
making
yeah.
hundreds of thousands of dollars to compete. Like, do you know how much money we've spent to compete?
I know. I know. Like
Yeah. So
seriously.
long story longer, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's why you and I click. We both, so I grew up in the valley, like the valley has projects, and so the whole valley is stigmatized. So it's like, oh, you're from Palolo, oh, you're from the projects, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I was poor,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
but it was rough,
It is. It is.
and so like you and I, like our story, poor single mom, like we struggled coming
Yes.
up, and
Yeah.
I think my perspective is like when you grow up with those challenges and facing those adversaries, like you can kind of take on the world in a whole different way because you've been fighting since the very start, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh,
And
absolutely.
so yeah, that's why you and I click. We come from the same past
Yeah.
and we have evolved. And I think like not everybody is able to jump over those
No.
hurdles. And I'm not
No.
saying it's easy, but not
No.
everybody's able to jump out of those hurdles and like what make lemonade out of lemons, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like
Yeah.
you do what you can and again I think it comes from not if you come from nothing it's in some ways you learn how to survive and then you learn how to thrive you
The
know
thriving part
the
is
thriving
the one
part
that we don't get to, right?
no, but it's a hard process to get to that
Yeah.
thriving. And it comes from here. It's like what you're talking about, like you getting your first opportunity at Girls and Geese,
Yeah.
When I first
Yeah.
started taking on Girls and Geese, and we talked a little bit about this at the conference, is like I had no idea what the hell I was doing. Like I was
Right.
like, a leader? I don't know how to be a leader. I've never led anything, Like what the hell
Yeah.
am I doing? I'm just this girl from Hawaii who's just trying to like I
Yeah.
love jujitsu and I just want to women to get together and I saw what a benefit it brought my life and it just takes somebody believing and same thing with me like people believed that I could do this. People believed that we could create these opportunities. And I think that's like a great message for anybody listening is that, even if you don't feel like you got somebody in your corner, you got to believe that's the
Absolutely.
most important. You got to
Absolutely.
believe that you got to be able to dream and think bigger than what you is your reality at the moment. And if you can do that, that's going to open so many more doors. Like if you can dream it, you can live it, right?
Yeah. And don't expect people to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself.
100%.
And on days, you're not going to. You're not going to. It's hard. But I think coming from, struggle and like realizing like it does, it kind of puts things in your mind that like some of these things that maybe other people think are so hard, I'm like, that's not hard. Like that's like what a gift for that to be hard, like
Yes,
and
yes.
God, I love my mom and thank you to her because I know she's like did her best and wanted to give us everything because she had two kids, and she's single mom and like nobody helping
Yep,
her.
same.
And
Yep.
I saw her like never give up. And I saw her on her days when she wanted to give up, and that teaches you so much. And, you know, coming from, you know, that life, like in the beginning, you don't even realize that you
No, you
have
don't. That's just
what people
normal.
consider less, you know?
Yes, exactly.
You don't realize that until you're around people who are like, hey, you know, you know, like you're kind of like, you're in the trenches, sis. And you're like,
Yep.
yeah, but I can fight better than you because
Yep.
I'm not scared of anything because of that. I think that mindset, like, because I went through some dark stuff, like as a
Mhm.
teenager, early 20s,
Mhm.
and I mean, I like died once when I was 22, and like didn't have to. It's because of everything that was going on in my life, and
Mhm.
like I believe I was brought back, you know, because the fire department brought me back. So that's a different story. Because clearly there was still purpose, right? We all
Yeah.
have purpose. We may not know what it is. Sometimes you may even feel like you don't have a purpose, and
Yeah.
that's where your friends and the people that you surround yourself with, and especially if you find like a martial arts gyms, you will find those days where you just really don't understand that you have anything purpose
Yeah.
wise or to give or to be, and the people around you will show you exactly what you have. And that
Yeah.
you said you got to have someone that believes in you, and I think coaches become that in life very
Yes.
often.
Yes.
Very often they will see things that you cannot see, because a lot of times long before you found their gym they were that person also. And
Yeah.
I have like a just like a wellness mentor, through like massage therapy and energy work and so on, and you know, all that hippie stuff. And you know, that on the other side of trauma balance
The
that we
healing.
find. Uh, she, like, I once told her, I was like, man, some of the students I'm encountering this and this and this, and she just said, hey, you know, the people being brought into your life are the ones that you needed to be brought into your life, both for you and for them. And that really stuck with
Mhm.
me. And that's
Mhm.
anywhere in life, not just the gym.
100%.
There's some
100%.
days, you know, where you're like, this conflict or this gift of presence and awareness, and they can be both in the same time sometimes, there's always a reason. And jujitsu really shows you that, martial arts, but
Yes.
jujitsu especially
Yes.
shows you that every single time that you're in that dark, you know, like, I'm not going to make it, I kind of want to give up. I see my students go through it now, and I'm like, I used to, you know, cry, sweat, and bleed through my training and want to give up. And it's like, it's right over that. It's so much more than you could ever imagine. I know I sound like a
Yes.
Disney fairy tale, but it's so
But
true.
it's true. It's so
It's so
true.
true. And it's so bright. And there's other people on the other side just waiting to be like, I told you, like, welcome. Like, look
Mhm.
what we're going to create now, and look how many other people we're going to be able to share that with. And that synergy is just going to continue to rise and
Synergy.
elevate. Synergy is my favorite.
I love you got me saying that word for days after I
Oh,
hung
good,
out with you. Bella's
good.
like, she's been saying that all weekend.
It's my favorite.
But it's true though. When it happens, it's so magical.
So
Like,
good.
yeah, I had this perfect example of just what you're talking about in a very literal sense. So I was on the Big Island and I went on this hike and we're walking down to the base of the volcano. And it's like the tour guide at the beginning is like, this is just a quick 30-minute hike, right? And so everybody's like, all right. And now we're hiking along. I like hiking at the back when we're doing a group thing. I was with my family because I like to just
Mhm.
wander and be in the forest by myself.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm like, I'll be back here. You guys go ahead with the group. And so I'm watching everybody, and there's this couple, and we're going on, and it's like, wow, I don't think this is 30 minutes. Like, this is getting long. It's starting to get hard. Oh my gosh, we got to hike so much far back up, you know?
Yeah.
And I get it. And I'm like, wow, this is, and I see this couple, and they're kind of talking about it. And all of a sudden, they turn around and they go back up and they leave the group. 5 minutes later, we hit the base of the volcano and it's gorgeous. And you can
Wow.
see the whole crater. And I was like, that is such a perfect example of what most people do is they
Yes.
just they lose patience. They go, oh, it's too hard. You know, I'm just gonna give up. But if you just push through, who knows what beautiful thing is right like next.
Amazing.
you know.
Absolutely.
And again, I think it's that going back to the coming from struggle, understanding struggle gives you that mental state to where you can just kind of keep pushing through, which is very beneficial in jujitsu as well, you know,
Absolutely. It
because
has
you've
its ups
learned how
and
to
downs.
become, yes,
Yeah.
and you know how to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations already because your life growing up was not always the most comfortable, safe, like secure
No.
environment, you know,
Yeah. I'm
and
just finding that, honestly. I'm just finding that feeling in the last few years of my life of actually feeling safe.
yeah,
And I didn't even I don't even think I looked at it as a thing because I was just always like heightened situational awareness.
yeah,
Probably since I
yeah,
was like 6 years old. And it was just working in an environment where we talk about situational awareness constantly. That was something I had. That was something that was
yeah,
embedded in me as a survival skill
mm-hmm,
from childhood, not
mm-hmm.
realizing that that's what that was. And maybe being prepared to be able to share that with other people. But I mean, I wish I had gone on that hike with you because that sounds absolutely. I went to Haleakala. I hope I
Uh-huh.
didn't say that wrong.
Yeah, you said it right.
And we went down. We hiked down first because you're there for the sunset, right? We hiked down
Mhm.
into the craters and going down so easy. So easy. Going up, not so much. The
That's the
sand got
hard part.
thicker, I think. I was trying to go up. So we were like, oh man, well, if we don't get back up in time, we're gonna miss this sunset that we had gone through this hike and this travel for. And so we would sprint just piece by piece, we would sprint and sprint. And we made it on time. And it's so funny because also the same thing, I'm gonna move to Hawaii. You guys are just giving life lessons just by
It
existing,
is
right?
100%. 100. Everything you need to learn is already in nature. It's all
Yeah.
there.
Oh God, yes. And it's the same idea, like going down in life, right? It's speaking like
Mhm.
the theory of just being down, going down, so easy, right? You don't even
Mhm.
realize it's happening sometimes. Getting back
Oh
up,
yeah, it just takes over.
it takes over.
That's the
It
hard
becomes your
part.
norm. And depending on who's around you, like they just think it's like that too. You know, the world's in a
Mhm.
crazy place, but
Well,
there's
it's like
also a
what
lot of
misery
fun.
loves company, right?
Oh boy. Don't get me
So-
started. They're like, come on in. We got a seat and a bed. You could stay with us for life. We'll feed you. And you're like, ugh,
this is
get away
great.
from me. No. But the same thing, right? Like we had to go in sprints and then we had to breathe because we're from Texas and Haleakala is a
Its
little higher.
elevation's high,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a little bit higher than Texas, you know? And but piece by piece we got up. And then once we got to the top, I mean, we were in the clouds watching the sunset on the mountains below us. Like it was amazing. And it's such a like idea of kind of how life works. Like it's easy to keep going down. You could go down until there's nothing left and it's so easy. But if you just take it piece by piece to keep going up, you know, whether it's in your personal life or in your jujitsu journey. And the further you go, the more they're going to continue to connect. Like you won't be able to separate those. Jiu-jitsu takes over your life. So it's like the best thing to take over your life as long as you're in the right environment, you know. And I love
100%.
that though, because there's a lot of times too. I think going through so much as just a female, let's start there. Boom. Okay.
Mhm.
Like we're on the rise, but like we've been held down for a long time in different ways, and we've held ourselves down in a lot of ways
Mhm. Oh,
as well by
100%.
not realizing we didn't have to act, be, or live in certain ways, right? It was just the norm.
Mhm.
But as a female, as somebody who did come up, you know, struggling, like sometimes you don't even realize that there's like so much you're going to gain from that, right? And jujitsu, like people say jujitsu saved their life, right? It's like this whole, you know, you
Mhm.
got the sticker, you got the rash guard. I wouldn't say it saved my life because honestly, I think my life's been saved like six. I think I'm on 3 lives left, right? I've spent 6, so I got 3 more in this lifetime. Yeah, she has lived. No regrets. But it like it just there are days where I'm completely just, I'm dead, like mentally, physically, emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot going on in the world. And we are so connected to everything now that even
Yeah.
if you want to push it out, it's in your face all day. And we're supposed to walk around smiling, not expressing, which shout out Gen Z because you guys get to express everything you want in life.
Yes.
And see
And
that,
more.
you know? But it's like, jujitsu, a lot of times, even if I was just like, I'm crashed and burned in different areas, then I get to the mats. And I don't say get to the mats and like I just pour it out on everybody. I just get to the mats. I don't even, sometimes I wouldn't even talk. I'm like, there's nothing left of me to even say. I just start
Mm-hmm.
training. By the end of it, I'm smiling. I feel good. I'm alleviated. Some of the things that were so terrible were not near as terrible as a 205 uh, black belt being mounted on top of me, like trying to find my way out. All of a sudden, I'm in the streets of East Dallas again, trying to figure out how to get out of a bad situation. Like, it's getting to the mats, having that place, having jujitsu so many times has become my safe haven,
Mm-hmm.
both from the world and from myself. And it doesn't just create like a hole you can bury yourself in. It actually provides a place where you can recenter, or they
Mm-hmm.
beat all the care out of you, and all of a sudden you're so tired you're recentered, and then you can start to like approach things differently
Yes.
after that 1 to 3 hours of being in class, of training, of having your favorite or least favorite training partner there, right? But whoever shows up, that's your people that day. Be thankful.
Mm-hmm.
um, but it just really has become that. And a lot of people are like, you can't use jujitsu as therapy, like go talk to somebody. Well,
Yeah.
yes and no. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
a collaboration of things in life that will help you work through
100%.
stuff. And I think even the healthiest of people, mentally and physically, they all have a base of why they're so healthy. It's a very rare breed that just walks around. I think it's like my dog walks around very happy because she just knows, life is good. She's not worried about what's on Instagram. She's not worried about what's happening in politics. She's like, we got food, we got walks, we're good. And
Yeah.
humans don't get to exist like that. But I think in that gym atmosphere, for at least a small part of your day, you do get to exist like that because nothing matters in
Yes.
that moment except gaining where you can on your journey in martial arts. And that really helps you to hone and focus and kind of like, just like nature, right? You plug back in. A lot of people say, like, oh, I got to go to nature, I need to go on a trip, I need to unplug. And I really feel like it's actually plugging us back in to who we are,
Mm-hmm.
where we come
Mm-hmm.
from, what our essence is, what really drives us, what makes us, evolve, what makes us grow and thrive. And it's just jiu-jitsu and nature. They do that for you. And the more you let it do it for you, oh, it's fun. You'll be hanging off the back of the truck like, oh God, this is great. I'm gonna make it. And then all of a sudden you're like, you're driving it and people are in the back. Like, let's go. So it's amazing all around. And just seeing how many women, like, just bring them all. Bring them all. We could all gain from it.
Absolutely. I
And the
think,
men too. I never
and
like to
men too.
discount the men. Without the men, like my first 2 years was all guys,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
helping. And the more we train, like, and the more we have women, I let them know, like, don't completely separate yourself from the guys
No,
because
no.
you're learning different things. Humans help each other, and I fought really hard to separate that line between men and women in this environment and not be treated differently, even though some things have to be approached differently. But especially like on the self-defense aspect, like sis, majority of the time, like if you have to defend yourself with what you've learned, and I hope you never do, but it's not going to be that crazy lady who's attacking you.
Yeah.
They're out there,
Yeah.
but it's going to be a guy.
Yeah.
And if you don't spend time with your guy training partners, you're doing yourself a full disservice,
100%. No, and it's amazing too because I think like there's so many more men that are realizing the value of having a female presence in this sport. Like they're seeing it. right? And it's not
Yeah.
just dollar signs. They're seeing it, like that it's important to have. I mean, then that's in life, right? You have to have a feminine with the masculine. It's
Absolutely.
balance. It's the same.
Absolutely.
You see it in nature. And as much as we as humans, as animals, try to separate ourselves from nature, we're part of it, you
Yeah.
know?
I'm trying to get
We
back
are
to it.
it. We got to get back to it because we are animals. That's the bottom line, and we're just a little bit more
Yeah.
complicated and complex. And we like to create these problems that are really, like you said, most of the time not as big as we think they are.
They're not. They're not.
They're not.
And when you get to interact with so many different people from so many different walks of
Yes.
life, and it's not a comparison, but sometimes it brings things into perspective. Like when you hear someone struggle, you're like, wow, let me pull myself out of my mom's always like, okay, doom and gloom. Like, let me pull myself out of that. Because honestly, and that, oh, it's so funny how it all happens, right? That pulls you out of yours because now you
Yes.
realize you're in a position where you can pull somebody out of theirs.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then, like you and I, we get to just like run off into the sunset together and like enter, just like realize, like,
Synergy.
yeah, exactly. Like sunshine, butterflies, rainbows, like, let's go, right? Like,
Yep.
and, and I love that about the community. The
Yes.
community, and we talked a lot about this at the grappling getaways, like what how brilliant, right? April and Katie, like you said, they crushed that because I was sitting there in awe at times, like just the access that people had, that women had
Mhm.
in that moment, not just to come do an open mat with a lot of other people, not just to learn from some of the world's top instructors, but to be submerged in the different areas of jujitsu
Yeah.
and MMA and all martial arts and how it's playing into your life and accessing the different
Mhm.
outlets because you provide a completely different service and experience than like they had everything from people who were they've created their own gear company. They had people
Mhm.
who, braid your hair for competition, which if you know, you know, okay? Like,
Mhm.
they had, women who opened gyms. They had UFC fighters. Like you just had access in one area to all of this where you even came before me and I've heard you talk about, I mean, y'all used to get in the car and drive to a different state just to have access to other women, right? My coach, he talks about when he was in it, because he was in it even before us, that they didn't even have a lot of black belt academy owners. So you had to be at like
Mhm.
Machado or Moeller,
Yep.
right? In
Yep.
Texas
That was
anyway.
it in Texas. Yep.
And then other people were opening gyms as like purple belt, which these days we're like, the audacity. Like,
I know, right?
like, how dare you?
Yeah, my first instructor was a purple belt.
Yeah, yeah. And that was amazing, right? Those
Oh
uniforms.
yeah, there's nobody out there.
Yes. And then, like he would talk about, to learn from a different instructor, or they would throw a seminar. They would all get in the car and drive like 7 hours to a different place just to have like 3 or 4 black belts in the same area. And just to
Mhm.
see how it's grown from that to like where we were just a couple months ago, I sat there just like going, like universe just swirling around me, going through past to future to now. And I'm just like, is anybody seeing this? Like, hey. And then of course I meet up with you and I'm like, she gets it. Like, let's Care Bear stare. Like, this is amazing. So yeah, I'm just so thankful. I'm so thankful for you and for what you've created and just the different people and the women that continue to just enter my life through this. And I hope to also be that person for
Yeah.
people, not like I need to be that, but like I just hope to
Yes.
be that, because it's important.
Absolutely.
It's so important.
Absolutely. It is. And I'm so grateful for you as well, I mean, like you said, like we going back to the believing in, like it's as much like I guess like for me coming up, I always felt like as just growing up, I felt like it was better to be invisible than to
Mm,
be like, you know, like
yeah,
I was the shyer one growing up in the hood. I wasn't the
yeah,
one going, all right, let's, that was my sister, right? Like I was the
yeah,
shy, invisible one. And so it like it's really cool to like see like how it's changed me. And so I want it to change you know, like,
yeah,
and then the universe just aligns you with people that like, wow, you inspire me. And then they go around and go, you inspire me. And it's just, that's what
yeah,
it's really all about, right?
yeah,
We
yeah,
fuel each other. Like I
yeah.
joke and be like, I feel like an energy vampire. I go to these events and I'm
Yeah,
like, ah, yeah,
yeah.
you know, like you're
And we
fueling
can be
me.
at times. We definitely can be that. But again, that synergy work, because I don't think you take, I think you reciprocate
No, it
constantly.
100%. But I'm getting it, you know, like it's
Yeah,
fueling me up, you
yeah,
know, where I'm just like I feel great and like and that's just it's such a better world when we're all happy. And
it
happiness
is.
is fleeting, but it is such a better world when we're all content, I guess is a better
Yes.
word,
Yeah.
as opposed to struggling. Like suffering is the hardest thing for me to see in this world. Like I have a
Especially in
hard
silence,
time suffering
suffering in
silent
silence.
because I
Because you know
think
it and you see
yes,
it.
I've lived there and I've seen it, you know,
Yeah.
and so bringing happiness and joy to the lives of others is
Yes.
it's not only like rewarding for others, it's selfishly rewarding for yourself, you know,
It is.
like
Yeah. It continues to, it's just, it continues to evolve. It just goes back and forth. It's that ebb and flow,
100%,
ebb and flow.
100%.
Yeah.
Like one
It's
of
just
my
the,
favorite sayings, and I know I talked a little bit, and they were making fun of me and my team, and they're like, "There's this thing called aloha," but like I think to give it is to receive it. So when you're
yeah,
giving love or you're giving aloha, you're receiving it back. And
yeah,
that's really the truth of it all is like we are
really.
all connected. And so when you're
Absolutely.
crappy to somebody else, you're being crappy to everybody, you know, like,
Right.
and you're being
Right.
crappy to
And it
yourself
takes work.
too.
It takes work, right? So I drive myself crazy with this, especially, once you become, a leader. Now there are times where you're going to um, be faced at times with somebody who is giving that, right? And instead of
Hmm.
giving it back, now you have to transmute it. Whereas I think I spent a lot of my life going, oh, hell no, like you can't act like that. Like we're all going to show you how it is. And then you realize, oh, it's spreading. Like all of that
Yes.
negativity that they're throwing at you because you're just so like nobody can treat me like that, do me like that. Now it's spreading and
Hmm.
you're helping to grow it. And
Hmm.
the further you go, just like you say, you give love, you receive love, right? We thank you, Care Bears, for teaching us
It
that
was
before,
seriously.
before we knew what it was. I knew I loved that show, I just didn't know why.
Exactly. It was such I know I went back and I like was listening to the songs and I was like,
Yeah,
wow. It
yeah,
was like it was like all that hippie love, you know,
yeah,
like just through these bears,
yeah.
like
Yeah, where was the aloha bear? Okay, where was that? Oh, there's the rainbow one. That was
yeah,
the
there
one.
was a rainbow bear.
But you realize that too. So now through evolving, through martial arts, through taking up a leadership role, you now realize not only do not everything's going to be happy, positive, that thus is life, right? But you get a choice and you get a
Yes,
choice. And sometimes you have to make that choice in an instant.
yes.
Am I going to take that and like reciprocate it back to prove to them like, not today, homie, like you can't treat me like that. Okay. Or am I gonna not take it and absorb it? So I learned this a lot through being a massage therapist. Okay, so when I first started like really taking on like 7, 8 clients in a day, there were some days at the end of the day I was mad, I was sad, I was angry, and I had no reason to feel any of
Mhm.
this. And my mentor at the time started helping me realize, she's like, you're absorbing everything and trying to
Yep,
carry it for everybody. She's
yep.
like, that's not meant for you. She legit told me to go plant my feet in some grass in the earth. She said, hug a tree. I said, okay. She said, no, hug a tree. I said, oh, okay. And she said, you are not meant to be someone who carries all of this
Yes.
strife or sadness or any of this for anybody. It is not yours to carry. It is the earth's, because the earth
Yep.
knows what to do with it. And that
Yes.
has stuck with me both in life and in on the mats constantly, to where we're just supposed to be a rooted vessel that's grounded, and that energy can transfer through and not be held. And, you know, whatever your beliefs are in energy, it exists. You know, nothing is created nor destroyed, right?
Hmm.
So when people bring that to you, then they bring that negativity, even like, you know, what happened to me when I first started training, and, you know, the things you encounter along the way. You can take that, absorb it, let it eat you alive, which a lot of people do these
Yeah.
days, just in
Yeah.
different
It's
areas.
easier
And
again, right? Going
yeah,
downhill.
it's so much easier to just keep going down. And then when you got to get back up, now your energy's spent because you spent a lot of time just absorbing and taking that from people and holding it.
Yeah.
And we really just got to find a way to transmute. Like, to me, that's very big these days. You don't have to absorb it, you don't have to take it, but it's there. So what are you going to do with it? You don't want to pass it on to the next person. So what can you do with it? Because, you know, we are alchemists at our best. We can change these feelings, these thoughts, these actions. We can choose what we do with it. And I would like to say I'm an avid tree hugger now. Okay. Like, you know, because now I interact with so many people in a day. And, you know, the gym sometimes becomes a place where, um, you know, like I said, you don't come in and just dump all your stuff, but that energy
Yeah.
is there. That
Oh yeah,
energy is
for
there.
sure.
And you've become like an outlet. And so
Hmm.
your place is an outlet, you know?
Hmm.
So it's a great thing. And then again, like the people who, you know, decide, okay, I'm going to be the head of this. I'm going to, you know, again, I still have days where you're like, who am I to like teach and guide and like, I mean, I still have those days,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
and they're looking at you like, you know, right? And I'm like, yeah, sure. But some days I know, and some days I have no idea, just like you said earlier. And it's
No.
so funny because I heard my friends in corporate. I'm not a corporate person myself, wasn't the life for me. I have a lot of friends who are, and even my boyfriend, he
Hmm.
was in corporate forever. And, you know, I'm pretty sure it was really hard for him to be like, I'm going to open a martial arts gym. Like, where's the assuredness that what's going to happen? Um, but I was like, I believe in you, you believe in me, let's go, because I'm just overly positive. Um, so, you know, I would hear my friends be like, oh, I just got a promotion, I'm over this team now. And I'm like, oh, man, you're so good at what you're doing. They're like, Chelsah, no, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just keep showing up and try not to lose my job every day. And then I watch those people like become very high up in their company, sometimes taking
Yeah.
over the company. And it's so weird because we consider ourselves like a smaller scale in comparison to like a corporation. And yet we're doing the same thing. And
Oh
I
yeah.
will
It's just
tell
yeah.
my teammates, you know, and it's touching back on what you said earlier, like you have people that believe in you, but you also have people when you come into the gym, you're going to be like, hey, I'm going to Worlds in a month. And they're like, oh, what if you lose? The fact that people say that when you tell them that you're going to compete, I
Like
remember that feeling being like, well, I'm already in my head like, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm going to try. I believe in myself. And now you're echoing to me that fear.
hmm.
And then going even further, you go, oh, that's how much they believe in themselves.
Yes.
I
Yes.
cannot carry that. I got to be that
No.
crazy person with imagination who can already visualize seeing myself top of the podium, winning gold,
Yes.
going through anybody who wants to stand between me and my $12 medal. Okay. Because, you know, like if I have to go through you to get it, they're much nicer now, by the way. But, you know, you think about that a lot. Some days you show up and you're like, do I know what I'm doing? And it's like, no, do it scared, do it confident, do it broken down, do it completely built up. And I sound like a Nike commercial, just effing do it. Because That's the only way that you're ever going to truly feel confident
Yes.
to do any of it, to do any of
Yes.
it. And then you're confident in your daily life doing things
Yes.
that maybe you never thought you could. And then you wake up one day and people are looking at you like, hey, do you think I could do this? And I'm like, yeah, like for sure. Like absolutely. And I'll show you how to do it better than even I did it because I got
Learn
knowledge
from
to
my
share with you.
mistakes.
And
Uh,
if we don't know how to do it, we're gonna call these three other people. Like, let me get Shama on the phone, okay? Because she's gonna tell you how she did it. She's gonna tell you how someone else did it, and then we're gonna link in with someone else. So let's call April because April's out here doing it too. And I do love this about us, like all of us, because we've been in. I mean, I'd say we've been friends now like 14 years.
yes, been a
14
long
years, right?
time.
Crazy. And that time, like at one time, everything was going so slow, and now everything's going so fast.
Yeah, I know. I know. I'm like, it was like at one point, it was like jujitsu was like with this weird kind of niche group of people. And
Oh
then
yeah,
now all of a sudden, like, we're somebody's.
it's everywhere.
Like,
Yeah,
and it's
it's
everywhere.
Hollywood now.
I
So we're in
know.
Hollywood. So. And it's so funny. I remember that too. I remember when I started competing for Fight to Win, I remember the first time I got a check. I got paid to do
Yeah, that was
jujitsu.
something we never thought. Yeah.
I got paid. It was a small check, but it was my check. And
Yeah.
I was like, I remember showing my boyfriend and showing my coach. I'm like, guys, I got paid to do jujitsu. And it wasn't a lot, but it was the best thing that had ever happened to me in that moment. And then I went back to work and I was like, oh, I get paid more here. But I remember people would be like, oh, just keep focusing on other things like jujitsu is like, it's not going to blow up, so on and so forth. And I never believed that. I
Hmm.
believed I always believed I was like, jujitsu's going places, guys. Like it's gonna
Yes.
blow up. Like it's gonna be
Yes.
big. People are. I could see it. I could see it
Yes.
ahead of time. But again, I'm like, I've always been like a visualizer. I
Yes.
like become very quiet so that everything you're looking for can actually be shown to you, and find that center, and then find the people who believe as well. Because whoever you surround yourself with, like you're going to see what you think you will or won't. Whether you believe it or not,
Mhm.
you're correct. And if you're surrounded by those other people, again, y'all gonna be tired of hearing me say synergy, but I care not. Okay, because it's a real thing. It's
It is.
building the world, and it's building the world up or it's tearing it down,
Yeah.
because that many people coming together with a belief, and now look at it. I mean, it is blown up. It is sky
It
high.
is. It
And I
is.
think we helped that. And I'm not saying that
100%.
egotistically. Like I really do think we helped that because we kept putting it out there. We kept, engaging. We kept trying to share it with anybody who would or what, you know. Hey, let me
Yeah.
tell you. We're like the door knockers. Hey, have you heard of jujitsu?
Have
I
you
got a
heard of
pamphlet.
jujitsu?
I got a pamphlet if you want to read it. Just come to class. It's gonna be weird. You're gonna love it.
But it's true. I mean, it's yeah. I was just, I had a lot of naysayers in what I did too, but like even my own family was like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, why are you putting so much on the line? Like, you're struggling so hard." And I was like, "Because I believe, like, I see
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
I just see it. I know where this is gonna go, and this is gonna blow up. You
yeah. And
know?
what is struggle? Have we
Oh,
not? Have we not encountered that?
yeah, exactly.
You mean a
That's why.
Tuesday?
And
I'm good.
exact, and I think it's for a lot of people too. I think their biggest fear, or one of their biggest fear, is probably dying. But one of them is like, I don't want to be poor, and I'm like, well, I already been poor, so I'm
Been
okay.
there. Yes.
Like
Okay. I
I can
love
survive.
that you say that because there are times where, we struggle. Winter is coming.
Yeah,
Like we struggle sometimes. And I don't show it outwardly, like, as a business owner, like I don't show it
yeah,
outwardly
yeah.
because to me, it's just been honed over years of just being able to see that in my mom's face. Like, growing up, like,
Hmm.
oh, it's time to go to school again. Like she's stressed because like somebody's got to get new clothes
Mm-hmm.
and like, one income with three people is like very hard.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I learned over the years to no longer like outwardly feed or show how stressed I am because I know it's going to pass. And because,
Yeah.
like people are like, oh my God, what if you lose everything? You just poor. And I'm like, okay, but I've already lived that. Like, and
Yeah, I already climbed out of it.
I don't fear that. I don't
Yeah.
fear that. And I know with all the skills that we have gained through the years, both on and off the mats, like I'm never going to be back there again. I'm
Yeah.
not. And I
Yeah.
choose that. I choose that for myself. So
Exactly.
I appreciate your fears, but don't try to like trigger that in me because your girl walks around like, trigger ready. Okay. So like, but again, like I don't let it eat me alive, and
No.
jujitsu again has really helped that. But growing up like that, it's the same thing. Dreams, I have not met one person up to this day, and I've met a lot of people in the game, right? Who the game of like investing in your dreams or
Mm-hmm.
leaving something assured to go all in on something. I have not to this day met one person who didn't struggle in the beginning. And I have not to this day met one person who was like, yeah, it was all figured out. It's always going to be good. Like, and we just knew it was gonna work is like the basis of all of us. But there's no assuredness, and you have to go through that struggle in order to shine. You have to. If you don't go through the
Yeah.
struggle, then honestly, like you can appreciate things in life always, but to have truly struggled through something, it builds tenacity. And tenacity comes from that struggle. So, and it breeds a different kind of person. And again, it takes what people would call crazy to give up all this assuredness, all of this guarantee, which honestly, and maybe just from life, I don't ever believe anything's guaranteed. So I never have that fear, you know? But if that fear arises, I just keep my head going towards what I believe is going to happen. And oh, surprise, a lot of times it all works out for the best. So I've never met a person who started their own company, who started their own business, who you know, took on a big thing as an athlete. Like I've never met anybody who didn't struggle at first, and financially is like at the forefront of that struggle, and mentally, emotionally, physically, and it builds something better. Maybe if you don't have that struggle, it's not as beautiful as it could be. I don't know, right? You got to go through the grind of something to really polish it out to become something that is just immaculate, you know? So, and if it weren't for
Absolutely.
people like you who believed and who showed people, then I truly believe, people along the way who would never even attempt it because they wouldn't have that example of somebody who believed and achieved. And that's kind of what we're all looking for in life, I think. Otherwise, go work for someone else's dream. And if you're happy like that because it provides for you, then it's not a bad thing. But some people just can't function that way, you know. And
Yeah.
I, and that has its own struggles as well, but with every path, with every great thing, there is struggle. I mean, philosophers have spent their whole life talking to us about it, trying to explain it to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's why jujitsu is such a great tool, right? Because for those who maybe didn't come from the background that you and I have, it
Yeah.
teaches them that struggle. It teaches them that they can
Yes.
overcome that. It teaches them that they
Yes.
do have that tenacity. It teaches them that
Right.
they do have that strength, right?
Yes.
And then they can go back to their lives and use it for things that may be weighing them down, that may be pushing
Absolutely.
them down that slope and
Absolutely.
go, "Oh, well, it's not that bad. Like,
Yeah.
I'll get through this. Just like I
Yeah.
will when that 250-pound black belt's gotten out on me. I will get
Yeah.
out and I will
Yeah.
get through." And
Yeah.
that's why I absolutely love you. And that's exactly what I wanted everybody to hear today, because regardless of where you come from, regardless of where your background, there are these tools out there. And take advantage of them, because
Absolutely.
our goal here is to just keep bettering who we are, right? And the more we
Yes.
work on that, the better society is going to be
Oh God, yes.
collectively.
Yes.
And it's just synergy. It just goes out everywhere, right?
Yes.
So
Because
you
jujitsu is
create
for
it
people.
around.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad you like brought it full circle there. Because honestly, because we come from struggle, we like, we like to like express with each other like, sister, I got you, me too. But I love jujitsu because, and I tell my students all day, it is for everybody. And
Yes.
there are people you will meet who become your best friends, best training partners. They become family, who honestly, if you didn't all do jujitsu, you'd probably never even talk to each other, cross paths, or you might see that person and be like, oh, I'm gonna go this way. But it's crazy because jujitsu is for everybody, and it brings these tools to each of us, no matter what walk of life you come from, or no matter what walk you're taking to get to the next thing. And
Absolutely.
over that mountain, right, is like the best view you've ever seen. And even better, you get to share it with all these people now, because things are great to experience, but man, when you get to experience them together, and thank you jujitsu, thank you Shama, then life's just so much better because it just builds.
Absolutely. It's always better when we're together.
Absolutely. Yeah. And plus
Oh,
we can accomplish so much more. So
absolutely.
thank you.
Absolutely. We can drag each other back up that hill.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes
that's
we'll drag each other down it just to go back up it.
absolutely.
We need a challenge.
Absolutely. Oh, well, thank you so much for being a
Thank
part
you
of
so
today. I
much.
really hope all of you learned something from this experience as I have. I think that, I mean, you're just an amazing person. I love that you're out there doing what you're doing and spreading the good word and spreading the synergy,
Yeah.
man.
Thank you, Shama. Big love to you. And congratulations on not just building such a great space to hold for people and for people to join in, but for not only going through struggles coming up, but even taking on your last struggle. And I mean, just you didn't just survive, girl, you thrived, and you are an example over and over and over again that we can take on anything, we can make it through anything, and we can be anything. And you are amazing and you shine, and I love you. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. No, like I said, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and
Yeah.
it's exactly true. And just keeping going forward, that's just, I mean, keep living, right? That's the whole
Keep
point. That's what
living
we're doing.
and reach out to others if you feel like you can't, because you're
Absolutely.
important.
Well, thank you so much for being on today. Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Thank
I
you,
hope
guys.
you all appreciated this conversation as much as I have, and we'll see you next time.